What is good, everybody? Welcome into the Blue Bloods Coaches Corner edition, joined by one of my favorite head coaches in the FCS to talk to, my guy DeLane Fitzgerald, head coach at Southern Utah. Coach Fred will be joining us shortly, but Coach Fitz, how we feeling, man?
Zach, how are you? Thanks for having me, my man.
Man, always. Like there's a handful of coaches across the FCS that no matter what I'm doing, no matter how busy, man, we're always making time. And you were definitely one of those. I think we first met at was it UAC Media Day last year too, man. And so it was great to talk to you. But I want to shift before we get into the roster, because I got a lot of roster questions because I think you guys have a really, really good shot to be a dark horse contender in the UAC. We talked about this last year, coach, winning close games. And in back-to-back seasons, you guys have been one score away from really being a one-loss football team, including an FBS win to start last season. What is the message from you and the coaching staff on what Southern Utah has to do to win those one-score games going into 2024?
Yeah, Zach, winning is a skill, and that old cliche, winners win. It's the truth. Winners win, and it's a skill. And it's taken us a couple years to learn that skill. But, Zach, when we got here, we were so off kilter with a lot of different things that we just focused on getting our young men to finish. Yeah, let's finish our classes. Let's finish study hall. Let's finish weightlifting. Let's finish eating meals, and we were finishing. And now the rhetoric with our coaching staff and our players has changed from finishing to finishing successfully. And we're going to finish successfully going forward. We're excited about the close games that we were able to pull out the last 2 years, and we're still okay with the ones that we weren't.
Going from year one to year two, what was the biggest improvement you saw in the program? Because I think year one was a rebuild year, and I think me and you joked that not a lot of people gave you credit for winning as many games as you did in that first season. You guys finished above 500 last year. Now this is the year, third in the preseason UAC poll, championship potential expectations, FCS playoff appearance expectations. What's been the biggest change in the program that you've personally seen?
Yeah, you and I joked about that first year. We won 5 games. They should have given us the key to the city around here with that bunch. That year two, what was the biggest difference from year one to year two? Just the young men understanding the expectations of our coaching staff. Of outside of us understanding each other, coaches and players, the second biggest difference were the improvements we made off the field in the weight room. We got bigger, faster, stronger. We were better able to hold up against really good competition. And then the third part of that, the third part is depth. Zach, from year one to now, the depth has really changed. So the three things I would say that have changed over our 31 months here, the expectations, our size and strength, and then just having depth at each position.
I think the biggest conversation this offseason has been the quarterback battle. It's always tough to replace one of the best quarterbacks in school history. I mean, listen, Justin did a heck of a job at quarterback, was a 2 or 3 time all conference selection. You have a bunch of quarterbacks on the roster, and there's a few guys with a lot of experience elsewhere. What are you looking for in a starting quarterback, and when did you expect to make that announcement?
Right. Zach, head coaches hate that question, right?
I know.
Absolutely hate it. So I'd rather you ask me about my least favorite foods and least favorite color and whatever else. That we've got a 3-man race for the quarterback job right now, and whether it's fortunate or unfortunate, all 3 of them are juniors. But we have Jackson Berry, who's been on the roster here with us for 2 years and is really, really pushing for the starting job. And then we have Bronson Barron, who won 20-plus games as a starter at Weber State, and he's in the mix for the starting job. And then Jordan Pachot, who started, I'm going to get it wrong, but he started 8 or 10 games at Missouri State over the last 2 years. So 2 starting quarterbacks for FCS programs. And then Jackson Berry, who's been here with us. Zach, I'm going to be completely frank with you about this. Jackson took a back seat to Justin Miller the last 2 years. And had he have not taken a back seat and had shown that he can play like he's showing now that he can play, we may not go out and get as many quarterbacks as we got on our roster, but he didn't. Jackson is really taking the bull by the horns, and he's from Texas, so all pun intended. He's taken the bull by the horns since Christmas and been really good on and off the field, something we hadn't seen from him the previous 2 seasons. But we're excited about him. Bronson is very, very capable and shows flashes of being really, really good. And Jordan does the same. Jordan Peugeot and Bronson do the same. I made a long answer out of a short question. Here's what our coaching staff's looking for. We're waiting on one of them to separate themselves. We're waiting on one of them to separate themselves. We're waiting on one of them to be completely consistent day in and day out, be really good on the field and in the classroom right now. The beauty of Division I camp right now is we've got so many days. We're just in day 4. We're just in day 4 of camp, so we've still got 27 days before we play the University of Utah. If one of them separates themselves, we'll name a starter and move forward from there.
A quick follow-up. We've seen, especially at the FCS level, some coaches roll with 2 QB systems, rotate guys. Is that something you'd be interested in early in the season?
Yeah, not against it at all. Not against it at all. And when you're playing a top 10 program like the University of Utah, all 3 may play in the first game.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge matchup week 1. Now, I'll say this. I went and listened to your post-spring interview, doing some research for this interview. You were a little bit critical of the wide receivers, wanting someone to really step up, separate themselves. Have you seen any improvements over the summer, and what do you want the wide receiver room what do they have to prove to you going into fall camp?
Yeah, coming out of spring ball, we had some question marks at wide receiver, and really our deal with Zach is we had a 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we might have had 2 3s and 2 4s, but we didn't have a 1-2 receiver. We went out in the offseason and signed Mark Bales, who little known out of Seton Hill, Pennsylvania, and Mark had 50 catches for 1,000 yards last year. In an offense that wasn't great, and with a quarterback that wasn't great. We were really, really impressed with him on film, and we're able to beat some other teams for him. And he's come in here and done a nice job for us. So I'm a little more optimistic about the wide receiver position right now. And then Zach, Jaden Ashby, who played for us last year as a freshman and didn't have a whole lot of stats. He's had a big offseason, and we're excited about what he can do as a vertical threat going forward. And then the other sleeper for that wide receiver crew for us is Shane Carr. And Shane Carr's a redshirt freshman for us and doing a really – 4 days in. It's too early. But 4 days in, doing a nice job in camp for us, and he's got a chance to be a difference maker. Zach, at that wide receiver position, if we can get a 1-2 receiver that are different and can separate and make plays vertical, also catch the dig route and the curl route, we're going to be okay. But because we have a 3, 4, and 5 that are pretty good players.
I think watching some film, doing some research, I think one of the deepest rooms for the team is the running back spot. You guys return a lot of talent at running back. I mean, I think your top 2 leading rushers and Braden and then Lepson both come back. What do you want to see? What's the next step for that room? Because they have both there was a lot of guys in that room that made an impact. You guys add Jordan Jefferson as well in that mix. What's next for the running backs in 2024?
Yeah, offensively, our running back position and our tight end position are probably the deepest of any position groups on offense. But talking about the running backs, Braden has been the model of consistency for us at the running back position. The last 2 seasons, practices really hard, plays really hard. Targy Lamson is matching him and maybe exceeding him a little bit through 4 practices. Those 2 young men from relatively the same area in Salt Lake City just practice really hard. Zach playing really hard. Behind them, we've got Jordan Jefferson, who is in his 4th season here, and Jordan Jefferson is pushing for playing time and doing some good things. One of the beauties of our running back position, Zach, is they all 3 play really, really similar. That they're similar height, similar weight, that they have the same game. So that helps us stick with the same game plan, same play calls there with them. Zach, we have some young players that are going to be really, really good football players. I'll get the name in some of them, and I'll forget a good one. But we're getting into naming players here. So, but Jackson Percoats, Nico, who I can't pronounce his last name, Cameron Athey, Cade Bowering, those three, Talmadge Brown. There's several of those young players that are doing a nice job for us and providing a lot of depth. If something were to happen, our top three running backs, if they all broke their shoestring and we're out for a play or two, we could throw somebody else in there and be okay.
I think the secondary last year, you guys led the UAC in interceptions, one of the better secondaries, I think in the FCS in terms of creating turnovers. Who do you expect to step up? Now, I will say this, covering a little bit of recruiting at this level, we're one of the only sites that do it. Listen, Perkins that you guys added from Utah Tech, I think that kid has so much potential just watching his film. Is there any names we need to know in the secondary, and how do you replace some of the top talent that you guys lost this offseason?
Yeah. Devin Perkins is a sleeper. I thought he was top 3, top 4 corners in the conference last year. We were fortunate to get him in the offseason. Excited about him. I had to sell him to Sam, so you can razz Sam a little bit. I had to sell him to Sam as being – I said, Sam, if there's a better cornerback in this conference, I don't know him. So, but we really like Devin. Hey, here's what I'll tell you, and I'll stop talking. Devin is the most physical corner in FCS football. Big, strong, thick kid that can flip his hips and run. But if he gets his hands on him, then he doesn't have to flip his hips and run. He can just be physical with them. Over to the other corner position is Dean Jones, transfer from BYU. Dean set out with an injury last year, injured his calf, and set out there having a great camp for us, had a great spring, having a great camp for us. We have LPJ, LeCarrier, Pleasant Johnson, who transferred in here from UNLV, and he's probably our third corner right now. But we're deep at that position, Zach. Depth is the theme of our football program. Got some young guys, Mikey Allen, Jaden Robertson. Those young men are playing really, really well as young players at that corner position, and excited about them. And I'm leaving out one or two. Cooper LeDuc out of Phoenix, and Cooper played for us last year as a freshman. Nobody more athletic in the country than Cooper. He just got to get his assignments down and learn how to execute the play call. But excited about him at the corner position. Zach, we're pretty good at corner.
Yeah, I would say so. I think that's going to be a spot to watch. Coach, going from 2023 to 2024, what's one or two positional groups that you think have taken the biggest step this offseason?
We had question marks about the D tackles and the D ends, and they're playing pretty well right now. We think we're really good at D tackle. We had question marks, not about the 1 and 2. Connor Cullimore is as good a middle linebacker as there is in the country, and then he's complemented very well by Trent Whalen. We didn't have a question about those two, but we had a question about 3, 4, 5, 6. We've taken a jump there, as far as depth and athleticism with those players. You asked about the biggest jump this offseason. Zach, our offense and defensive linemen are really, really strong. We're really big. We're really, really strong. So I would say the defensive line at tackles and ends, and then our offensive line made the biggest jump this offseason.
That's kind of scary since you guys allowed the fewest sacks in the conference last year already. I think you said you had 3 seniors coming back as well on the offensive line next season. So I'm excited.
We returned 18 out of the 21 offensive linemen, only lost 1 starter. You want a motivator? You got to love those motivators. We lead the conference in rushing last year, and we don't have 1 offensive lineman on the preseason O-line list.
I saw you say something about it because I think you guys had 2 all-conference selections in the preseason, both defensive, obviously Cohen and then a D tackle. I don't know because I honestly thought they might put Zach Mitchell on there too, a wide receiver potentially after being a freshman All-American. So yeah, you guys had a few snubs there. I'll agree with you on that, Coach. How do you prepare your team for the expectations? Because, we kind of talked about it earlier. Year 1, expectations are just get the ball rolling in the right direction. Year 2, let's just get above 500. Let's compete at the highest level we can. Now, man, if we're not competing for the UAC title, we didn't live up to the expectations that we had coming into the season. How do you prepare your team to take that jump? And what's the message to them?
Yeah, we talk once or twice during the year, and you let the players talk about what the goals are. You want to hear what their goals are, and they go, hey, you start out with a winning season, and in this school's history, and Zach, they've been playing football here a long time. Three different times in the school's history that they've had 3 straight winning seasons. So winning season is number 1 around here. At number 2 is the young men like to go undefeated at home. At number 3 is like to make a conference title run. Number four, maybe number 3 is to make the national playoffs. You know, in a lot of conferences, it's easier to make the playoffs than it is to win the conference title. To make the national postseason, have a chance. But those are some of the goals. Zach, here is, and you're right. As you get better, it doesn't get easier. It gets harder. The motivational stuff and what your goals are. And here's how you have to build a football program. You don't change anything. Our goal day one was that we were going to play hard. We're going to practice hard. We're going to play hard. We're going to lift hard. We're going to work extremely hard, give great effort, and then to finish. And then to finish everything we do. Now, let's finish our weightlifting session. Let's finish practice. Let's finish games. Finish the first quarter. Finish the second quarter. Finish the third quarter. Let's finish the game. And that whole finishing thing, Zach, goes into a lot of other things in life. But we only preach, hey, we're going to play extremely hard. We're going to finish everything we do. We're going to make an attempt to get 1% better day in and day out. When you wake up in the morning, let's from the time we wake up in the morning until the time we go to bed, let's be 1% better than we were the day before individually. We got 120 players. If they all do it, we're 120% better at the end of the day. And you just stack good days on top of each other. Zach, as far as motivational and what we're trying to do here, we've only added one thing. We used to talk to them about finishing, and now we talk to them about finishing successfully.
Are there any similarities between this rebuild and your rebuild at Frostburg State? Because if you remember, like, for people who don't know, 4-6 the first year, 6-4 year 2, 10-1 conference championship year 3. Do you see any similarities with this rebuild at Southern Utah?
Yeah, I do. And the biggest similarity may be our coaching staff and the personality of our coaching staff, kind of who we are. Now, hey, are you telling me that we're going 10-2 this fall? Is that what we're doing? 4-6.
I'm not trying to put that on you, man. I'm not trying to put that on you, but I mean, I think the expectation is just funny enough. On Sunday, we're actually recording our UAC preview, and we do like a game by game breakdown for every team and every conference. And so I would imagine, even without even looking at the schedule, y'all's win total is going to be somewhere about the 7 or 8 mark.
That'd be okay. 7 or 8 will be okay. So, Zach, we take things week by week around here. So we're going to play Utah on a Thursday night. We'll give the kids off Friday. On Saturday, we'll get together and do a couple of things, and then we're going to do as good a job as we can do to prepare the young men from Saturday till the following Friday to play UTEP. We'll come off that UTEP game on Saturday night, and we'll take some time off on Sunday, and then we're going to work as hard as we possibly can Monday through Friday to get them ready for the next game. Yeah, we don't look a whole lot at win totals. We're worried about the next game. You know, what do we have to do to be successful in the next football game? It's boring, and it's not sexy. So people don't want to hear about it, don't want to talk about it, but it's the best way to be successful. Only focus on the next thing.
Coach, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Just a few questions about the general state of college football. I think we've broken down your roster and expectations as much as we can. There's been a lot of conversation this offseason about FCS schools potentially becoming feeder systems to the Power 4 schools now, and that, a Southern Utah would send players to Utah, vice versa. The D2 schools would send them up to FCS. When you just look at the landscape of college football, in your opinion, is that in the future? And just what are your thoughts on how it has kind of evolved into the best players at FCS move up and the players who aren't playing at the FBS level come down to the FCS?
Yeah, you made the statement, the state of college football, and the first thing that came to my mind was poop. The governing body is not doing a very good job right now. There's some other entities that are suing the governing body and causing problems with college football right now, and it's detrimental to the young men and what's going on with the young men. We'll never be a feeder program. We're never going to run a football program that way. We're going to run in this day and age, Zach. If the young man thinks you're funny and he respects you, and then number three in that list, if he believes you have his best interest at heart and his family's best interest at heart, they'll stick around for the most part. There's always going to be some disloyal people, and you're going to lose a guy here and you're going to lose the guy there. We lost 2 this past off season, but for the most part, we've got a bunch of loyal young men that like this city. This is a great city. They like this city. They like this university. They're going to stick around. Now, do we have to work to keep them? Yeah, we have to work to keep them. When I started in this coaching profession, you recruited them, and then once they showed up at your place, you had them for life. They played hard, and they played hard for 4 years, and then they were loyal to the university for life. You do have to re-recruit them now. And we've got to re-recruit them now. We've got to do some things different. We're never going to be a feeder program. The day that we become a feeder program and we get to doing those things, yeah, I'll move on. I'll move on somewhere else. I'd make a hell of a used car salesman in these schools, because I'll give you a lightning rod here, okay? These young men, we recruit these kids, and then when I say we, I'm talking about the coaching profession. We reward these kids that play for 2, 3, 4 high schools. We reward them with scholarships, okay? They've got zero chance of sticking at the first school they go to. Hey, they're not even going to stick at the second school they go to. A kid that goes to 2 or 3 high schools is going to go to 2 or 3 colleges. They're going to have at least 3 marriages. They're going to have at least at least a handful of kids that they don't take care of. They're going to go through 14 jobs. Hey, the cycle of this whole disloyalty thing and the inability to fight through any type of adversity. As soon as something goes wrong, it's a bad deal. It's a bad deal. And yeah, what I'm saying isn't as far out in left field as what Trey Lamb said, because I remember the quote now.
Yep.
But that's where we're at, and those are my thoughts. We don't recruit kids that go to multiple high schools. We don't, and then we get kids that come here and actually stick here too.
With the recent announcement, Coach, with the roster expansion at the FBS level, obviously that they got, I think it's now over 100 full scholarships they're able to offer with football. Now, FCS could expand. They're talking about it, debating it. First off, how do you feel like that? Does that hurt the FCS? Does it help them with increased scholarships at the next level? And if the FCS does expand, do you think that ultimately hurts some FCS programs because they're already struggling to support the scholarships that they're allotted now?
Yeah, I'll talk about the roster size, and then I'll go to the scholarship stuff. So when I played at James Madison, we had 104 players on the roster, and that was the NCAA limit. Shortly after that, it went to 110. It stayed at 110 until this year. This year, we went to 120 roster limit. So all the FCS schools have 120 guys in camp right now. We're going to turn around next year and go back to 105. So we went from 110 to 120 back to 105, taking opportunities away from this young man, and also putting some of them in harm's way because there's too many reps at 105 players. Too many reps during practice, too many reps during the season. Going to have to change the way we do some things as far as scout teams and all that. That a little bit detrimental, and I don't understand why we're doing that. Second part of this, you talked about the scholarships. I don't know, since we're a subsidiary, we've always been the difference. There's no difference in the scholarship level of an FCS school. Their baseball team, basketball team, volleyball team, they're all FBS. They're all playing Division I. There's no difference. We've always been different. I don't understand why we wouldn't just stay different, Zach. I don't know why we wouldn't. My prediction is this. Because of the antitrust lawsuits, I don't think the NCAA is going to touch a limit for us, because I think they're scared of being sued again. And I think they're going to do this. They're going to tell the FCS football programs, which there's 127 of us this year, they're going to tell the FCS programs that you can give out 0 football scholarships, or you can give out 105, or you can give out anything anywhere in between, and it'd be okay. I'm afraid they're going to do that. And when they do that, Zach, we're going to have conferences. Hey, a school's going to have 20. A school's going to have 40. A school's going to have 80 scholarships. And then the Dakotas and the Montanas, well, they're going to get really close to 105.
If not at 105.
If not at 105. That's exactly right. They're going to get there. What would I like to see happen? I predicted what I think is going to happen. And here's what I would like to see happen. If the FBS are going to 105, we should go to 83. They're moving from 85 to 105. We should move from 63 to 83 and just kind of keep pace. Zach, we're going to continue to play these guarantee games like we're doing against Utah and UTEP. Don't put the kids in harm's way. Don't put the kids in an unsafe situation. But if you roll in, if Utah's running around with 105 scholarship players and you roll in there with 40 scholarships, you're in trouble.
Yeah, that's definitely a dangerous thing. And then, coach, also too, we saw it this offseason. Obviously, you had some players into the portal come back. How do you approach that? Is it a case by case basis, or is there is there just a rule that if you take this many visits or you're in the portal for this long, you can't come back? What's your approach to that?
I took one player back, and I've only taken in my career, Zach. I've only taken one player back that quit the team. There were some extenuating circumstances with family and his decision making, and some of those things that went on. But I don't believe in it. So I think it's kind of like this. It's kind of like your spouse coming to you and saying, "Hey, I'm gonna go out and test the waters for 2 or 3 months. If I don't find anything better than you, I'm just gonna move back home." And you got to ask yourself, would you take her back? If you're a female, would you take him back? For me, the answer is no.
Going into next season, what would it mean to you in this program to break through and bring a conference championship back to Southern Utah?
This is, Zach, one of the most unique cities, one of the most unique states that I've lived in, one of the most unique cities that I've coached in. The people in this town rally around the football and basketball program at this university, and it means a lot to them. What would it mean to me? It would bring a permanent smile to my face because of the happiness that it would bring our coaching staff and our players, and the happiness that it would bring the administration at this university and the people in this town. Special place, Zach, special place. I signed a 5-year contract extension yesterday, and would never have re-upped for something that wasn't the best for me and the best for my career, but also would never have re-upped for something. I wouldn't sign up for any more extra time in a place that I didn't enjoy. It's a special place here. What would a conference title mean to me? Very little. I got 7 conference rings. I got 7 conference title rings. If you want to borrow one, I'll send it to you. They just sit and collect dust now. But we won 4 conference titles at Frostburg and a lot of postseason appearances there, and had a lot of excitement there. For me, very little. I would be really, really excited for the people around me.
Man, I know you got your eye on the bigger trophy. In that case, you guys would be going back to the FCS playoffs, and I would love for you guys to host a game, man. I haven't being in Mobile, I haven't got out to Utah yet, but if you guys hosted a playoff game, I'd be booking my plane ticket immediately because
Yes.
I would have to be there for that one.
Yeah, you'd like to make a trip to Cedar City, Utah. I'd like to make a trip to Mobile.
Yeah, especially in December.
In 2024, everybody wants what they don't have.
Exactly. You know how it goes. But Coach, I appreciate you, man. In the middle of fall camp, giving me half an hour of your time. I can't thank you enough. We're going to have to get you back on the show in the off season. Hopefully we'll be able to talk to you with the conference championship after another successful season. Coach, anything you want to say, man, to wrap this up?
Zach, I appreciate you having me on here. Hey, anytime I get a chance to sell this program, sell this university, I'm in. You are a class act. Maybe the best FCS interview that I've ever had. And hey, I'm not kissing your rear end. I truly believe that. Hey, appreciate you. Thank you for everything.
Absolutely, Coach, man. Anytime you want on the show, you know where to have me. I think I still have your number, so I'll be texting you during the season. But guys, make sure to stay tuned to Southern Utah football this year. Follow my guy, Coach Fitzgerald, on all social media accounts, and we'll be back here on the Blue Bloods later this week. But for Coach Fitzgerald, for myself, for the Blue Bloods FCS Football Central, we are out for right now.